The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
I think she is uniquely unqualified to run a campaign.
More troubles for Hillary Clinton amid reports she had multiple private email addresses while serving as Secretary of State. Did she break the law, and how much damage is she doing to her party?
This president is delusional or in denial, but whatever it is, he is placing this nation in grave danger.
While America sits on the sidelines, Iran joins the battle against ISIS for the key Iraqi city of Tikrit. Why are we turning over the fight against ISIS to our bitter enemy? We'll have analysis.
Well, I recognize that the findings in our report may leave some to wonder how the department's findings can differ so sharply from some of the initial, widely reported accounts.
And even Eric Holder's Justice Department now admitting, hands up, don't shoot never happened. So why won't the mainstream media admit it was wrong? Caution, you're about to enter the no spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Eric Bolling in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Let's get right to our top story, the growing controversy over Hillary Clinton's use of private email accounts during her 4 years as Secretary of State. Yesterday, Fox News learned that Mrs. Clinton created not one, but multiple email addresses under the private domain clintonemail.com. Clinton's aides have insisted that she used only addresses while as Secretary of State, only one, and it's still unclear how exactly those additional accounts were actually used, but their discovery is raising more questions about what Mrs. Clinton might be hiding from the American public. Meantime, the State Department is defending her use of private email.
As I said, there's no prohibition on using this kind of email account as long as it's preserved. She has taken steps to preserve those records by providing the State Department with the 55,000 pages. So I'm not a NARA expert, but certainly it sounds to me like that has been completed.
So that you wouldn't really have any way of knowing if she had provided everything unless you're just taking her at her word for it, correct?
I think 55,000 is a pretty big number.
With all due respect, that's a ridiculous response. Under federal regulation, all emails sent on non-government accounts had to be preserved for the public record, but Mrs. Clinton did not do that.
ABC News has learned Hillary Clinton violated State Department email policy for all 4 years she served as Secretary of State. A senior State Department official tells us while Mrs. Clinton was Secretary, State Department employees were only allowed to use private email if they turned them over to be entered into government computers. And until they did that, they were in violation of the rules. Mrs. Clinton did not turn over emails until late last year, nearly 2 years after she stepped down as secretary.
But were Mrs. Clinton's actions more than just a violation of State Department policy? Is it possible she actually broke the law? Joining me now to answer that question from Raleigh, North Carolina, Kalita Mitchell, a conservative political law attorney, and from Los Angeles, Matthew Littman, a former speechwriter for the Senator Joe Biden. Kalita, let's start with you, law attorney. Did she break law or policy?
Both. She broke both, and she broke regulations. The Federal Records Act in 1995 made it very clear in the statute that emails must be considered part of public records, and all public records, all official records of government employees, including the Secretary of State, are supposed to be preserved and in government servers and government owned and preserved property. In 2009, the Archivists and Records Administration issued new regulations to all agencies saying this is precisely how you must preserve emails for anything that is done by a government employee on an unofficial email account. So the State Department policies mirrored the regulations and the statute. And let's remember what Hillary Clinton did. When she became Secretary of State, she didn't apparently even establish an official email account with her office. She set up a server in her home.
Let me take that right there, Ms. Mitchell. Let me take that right there to Matthew Littman. For me, the most important, the most egregious thing that Hillary Clinton did wasn't just using a private email account. Is the fact that she used private servers within her home, guaranteeing that she could dictate what becomes public record and what doesn't.
Yeah, you know, this is such a manufactured scandal. Just going by what you said, Eric, in the beginning, and then what Cleta said, which is it might be this, it might be that. I mean,
no,
it
wasn't a question of it might be. Matthew, it wasn't a question of it might be. She used private email, private servers, not necessarily the email accounts that I have a problem with. It's the fact that she controlled all the servers.
That's right. That only matters to you if you have a preconceived notion of what you think of Hillary. So Hillary released 55,000 emails or documents, which I agree with you. She has more than she should release all of them. And she said, I'll release all of them, which, you know, we've seen that Jeb Bush, Madeleine Albright, Colin Powell all used private email addresses, not all the time, but part of the time, and then they have to release those records if they're part of the record. Hillary has said she'll do the same thing. So all this might, may, you know, there is no evidence that Hillary's done anything wrong.
She violated policy and she may have broken the law. Cleta,
well, if you think, well, Eric, excuse me for 1 second. You're saying that she might have.
No.
But in the meantime,
she definitely
was Secretary
broke
of
policy.
State.
She definitely broke with policy.
Do you think that people weren't emailing her in those 4 years and didn't know that she had a private email address?
Of course
I mean, it's
they
ridiculous.
Were.
So
and it was against the rules and maybe against the law. And therein lies the problem. Cleta, the question is, when Hillary Clinton's aides are the ones who chose the 55,000 emails, we have yet another problem, don't we?
Well, what I don't understand is why she did not turn over the entire server that was her private server. That is where that's the repository for all of Hillary Clinton's emails. And that's what the government should have, is her private server. And I guarantee you there are more than 55,000 emails. Look, I've been dealing with the fact of the problem of the missing Lois Lerner emails. And the missing Lois Lerner emails, just to put something into context, there were 40,000 of them found by the IRS and TIGTA, the Treasury Inspector General, that covered less than a 2-year period and communicating with only 80 people within the IRS. That was 40,000 emails. So I think that there were a lot more emails than 55,000, and why is the government not requiring the server to be turned over?
You want to know something? 55,000, as Marie Harf at the State Department says, well, that's a lot of emails. Yeah, it surely is. A lot isn't relevant, more isn't relevant, all is relevant, and we may never get all.
Well, Eric, Hillary did say she was going to give over all of the emails. I mean, she just said it the other day. So yeah, I agree with you. If there are more than 55,000, then she should give over those too. But all this
let me ask you this,
nonsense.
Matthew. What about the Obama administration? Yes. Clearly, there had to be some emails going from Hillary Clinton's private email to either the White House or President Obama directly, possibly. Every single one of those should have been a telegraph to the administration saying, hey, she's breaking protocol here.
But other people have used private email addresses, so it's not so uncommon for somebody to be using one. Not all the time necessarily, but at least part of the time. So if they get emails from a private email address,
part of the problem is not that she used it sometime, Matthew. She used it solely. She used it strictly.
But they wouldn't know that, Eric, you know what you guys are getting into? This is like Muhammad Ali doing the rope-a-dope. You guys hit Hillary, you hit Hillary, you hit Hillary, and then she comes out and she just kicks your butts because it turns out that this is all conspiracy theory nonsense, just like the Vince Foster stuff and all that stuff.
I don't think the New York Times is exactly a you guys right-wing conspiracy. That's who broke this story. But let's also be very clear. There were emails that were hacked. Hillary Clinton emails hacked 2 years ago and published in 2013. We have no idea the classified information that may have been hacked by foreign governments.
And that is how we found out. The hacker group or the hacker, Guccifer, is the one who figured out that Hillary Clinton is using only private emails. We have to leave it right there.
That's right.
Cleta and Matthew, great debate. Thank you very much. Next on the rundown, how much damage is all this Hillary Clinton drama doing to the Democratic Party? That debate, moments away.